My guest is a creative strategist, a writer, and she's the founder of Vampire Digital. She's the author of Think Bait. It's a movement and a writing philosophy fighting back against clickbait and the AI garbage content that pervades the interwebs these days. She began her career as an undercover journalist at the tender age of 16, and she has since ghostwritten for royalty, for Harvard researchers and reality TV stars. She's got more than 7 years in SaaS and business, and she now helps founders and industry leaders craft high trust, attention grabbing content that's not shite. Okay, that's my wording, not hers. She's a former Hungarian chess champion. She's an abstract artist and mother of two. She lives in Bristol with her kids and her philosophical cat, Jasper Fang. Welcome to Leadership That Sells. This is the podcast that helps you to lead first and sell more. And that's because most sales teams today aren't really teams. They're what we call teams in parallel. And that's most managers are still leading like it's 1999, like they're running a football team. And when in reality, they've got like a team of Olympic sprinters or best case golfers in different courses. And because there's a mismatch between the actuality of your team and the way that you're trying to lead them, your coaching's not working. Have you noticed that? And your pipelines reviews are like interrogations. All your A players are like lone wolves. Well, what you need is my leadership power up for your managers, not another heavy training manual. It's light and a fast reset that gives you and your leaders a simple model to lead the team you've actually got. Teach them to set the target with clarity, build the flag with a shared identity, and hand over the map so you can coach with autonomy in mind. If it's time for you to fix that model, grab our free Parallel Team Playbook. It's short, sharp, and built for senior leaders just like you, and you can find it at the Practical Leadership Academy. Zsike Peter, thank you very, very much indeed for joining me. I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Likewise, Paul, thank you so much for inviting me on. Really excited about where this is going to go.
So the internet's full. We should just turn it off. Right, that's my actual considered opinion. It's full up. We should just turn it off. It had such great promise when we could, look up stuff. We could talk to each other, and now it's mostly trash. And
Mm.
it's well, I don't know what percentage you gave me a percentage when we were just chatting there before. If I had to guess, I would say it's 80% automatically generated by AI tools, and it's all rubbish.
Yeah, apparently that it's even worse now. Apparently, 90% of everything that's online today has been dumped onto the internet over the last 2 years. That's thanks to ChatGPT and the likes, because now it's a content creation frenzy. Everyone's at it,
Mhm.
regardless of their skills. And even those, even some of the creative writers that I used to admire on LinkedIn, some of them have kind of beigified their voice in the name of efficiency and damage their brand in the process. So it's bad, but it's not all bad news. The cream always rises, as I say, as the saying goes.
That I think we can just end the conversation there. The cream
That's it.
always rises. There was a chap, I'm vaguely involved in local politics, and there was a chap I follow, and he was writing about some study he did of speeches given in the House of Commons in the United Kingdom,
Mm.
because everything gets recorded in a journal called Hansard, so and it's searchable and all that sort of stuff. So he did some surveys and studies on it, and there was a particular point in time about 2 years ago when ChatGPT really hit got its mojo going, and all sorts of words started being used, all sorts of phrases that had not previously been used are now turning up in speeches in our House of Commons. This august chamber where the people who purport to give share their direction and wisdom with us
Yeah.
are having their thoughts manipulated, massaged, and otherwise purified or beigified is a good word.
Yeah.
So everybody is now with the M dashing, everybody is now fostering things. I rise today to speak to you about, oh, shut up already. Have an original thought. And if you don't,
Yeah.
then don't. Just please,
It's
please.
so lazy.
It's there's only one, I think if there's one thing you can do today to have an advantage, it's to be real.
Yeah.
This is why we do this. This is why I have these conversations now. It's why I have them in video as well. It's because you ain't fake, right? You're not. I saw you getting up and walking around. There was a guy in the US who got caught out by some people on a CV mill, and he worked for like a cybersecurity firm, and he got caught out and he admitted it, and he said, "Look, I ended up hiring people who didn't exist." So now what he does is in his job applications, he has video calls with people, and he says, "Please raise your left hand, turn it round, okay, touch your nose, thank you."
Love that.
Right? Or just does something
Yeah.
out of the ordinary. Because I'm
Yeah.
sure you've done these face things as well, where you've got to look up and down and turn. You have to
Yeah.
prove you're
Confirm your
real.
identity. Yeah, it's crazy.
You've got to prove you're human. I'm not a robot.
And quite often you have to prove it to an AI chatbot as well. It's
What?
insane.
I mean, my goodness me. Yeah, are you a human? It's the reverse Turing test.
Yeah, it's getting great. And that kind of AI algorithm and accent, it's the whole thing is getting so twisted now where people who have been over relying on AI are not only in their speak, but also in their everyday communications, like just texting their friends or asking ChatGPT how to respond to a text when they're dating. It's insane.
Yeah.
And so, yes, it's affecting our everyday communication. And it's crazy. You think people will be writing their content, their email newsletters or whatever with ChatGPT, pretending that they wrote it themselves. But ChatGPT already stole it from humans effectively, AI, that all those AI tools or large language models have been trained on real written data, most of it from like Reddit rooms, group forums, which is already not, people don't speak in or write in the most eloquent ways. And
Sewage.
and we have a responsibility. If we produce content regularly, we have a responsibility to protect language because language is the expression of our thinking, of our culture, the way we communicate with each other, and that's just deteriorating, nosediving. It's such a shame.
You had a line I think I read in one of something you wrote is that it's 1,000 words a year are disappearing.
Yes,
And these
yes.
are real words. This is not nonsense words. This is the nuance. This is the difference between the machine and the man with the soul.
Yes,
Your
words with
language.
real
Yeah.
depth and meaning. And the problem is, some linguists argue that a lot of those words are being replaced, but they are being replaced by text speech and emojis
Yeah.
and foster and elevate and all that nonsense.
Mhm.
That's not progress. That's not language evolving. It's devolving. It's getting flattened, and therefore our critical thinking skills are getting flattened because we're not having to digest content anymore like we used to. It's all made for quick, fast skim reading, fast consumption. It's like fast food for the brain.
There's some lovely tools. I use Gmail,
Mm.
and there's a lovely tool in that you can give it a couple of sentences and it'll write you an email. So you give it a couple of sentences. You say, "Write to Zika, thank for attending podcast." And it says, "Dear Zika, thank you so much. It was delightful." Zika gets my email, hits summarize on the AI, and gives her thanks for turning up.
Oh my
So
gosh.
nobody read the email. Okay.
Yeah.
There
That's
was
so
nothing in
sad.
between. I promise I won't do that. I promise.
Yeah, I think people can tell, but it's getting to the point where they are becoming desensitized to it because everyone's doing it. So they're like, all right, fine, I'll use my AI to do the response as well. So eventually you take the human out of that conversation. You are not building real connections. It's all transactional, it's all superficial.
And we
It's so,
struggle. We struggle right now. We've been struggling since before COVID ripped us apart for no damned point. Before that ripped us apart. We're struggling, I think, with a lack of connection, with a
yeah,
lack of human connection.
yeah,
Now
absolutely.
we've had this Orwellian ing speak double nonsense that where we are simplifying the language such we can't think because you don't have the language and you said people are actually using this sort of type of expression in their day to day,
Yeah,
and if you're doing that, you're becoming worse than the machine.
yeah. And the thing is, it's so difficult for the majority of us because the human brain, by nature, we are hardwired to take all the shortcuts. It's for it's kind of
Survival.
built in, yeah,
Oh,
built into your survival instinct, right? So if there is a shortcut that will make things faster, more efficient, with with sort of okay results, 9 times out of 10, people will go for that option, for that route. So now the danger is, for you and I who have had many decades before large language models were available, we were able to build up that kind of cognitive resilience where we can tell what's crap and what isn't, and we can still work without those tools. But of course, if we over rely on it, it's a bit like not going to the gym, you will lose those muscles.
yes.
But for the younger generations, if they never learn those skills, if university students never learn those skills of how to almost manually research, make those connections, write up an argument, and defend your argument, so there's real ownership in your work, real agency. What's going to happen with the future expertise? How are we going to raise experts, train, teach experts in the future, if the only way the younger generation can create anything somewhat meaningful is with the aid of these tools? I can't get my head around that.
And I wouldn't be a graduate looking for a job right now, frankly, because the number of graduate jobs has fallen through the roof, through the floor, because there's so many of the graduate jobs are now being replaced by people using the tools, using these AI tools.
Yeah.
So instead of me having somebody summarize 100 reports, and that's your first job, so you learn how to summarize, you learn what the basis of the business is, you learn, and then you get to grow, and then you get to grow, and then you get to grow. All of a sudden, all these entry-level jobs are going. So who's going to teach them, and B, who's going to do them, and C, who's going to come next,
Yeah.
right? What do all these people need to go and do? Fill shelves in Sainsbury's?
Yeah, I know.
I've got what's the joke from the musical Avenue Q? What should I do with a BA in English, right? I mean, what the heck should you do with that? You can't,
Yeah.
anyway. But
It,
there's
the,
great hope. There's
yes.
great hope because the cream rises. And there's the difference, and I talk about this in leadership, I talk about when I'm working with teams of people. The difference, I think, between somebody who is not very good and somebody who's good is actually really small. It's really, really small.
Which is a shame,
Yeah. But
really.
it's not a big one. It's not a big one. All it takes is a second of reflection. Instead
Hmm.
of you responding to a stimuli, you pause. That's it. And that puts you 95% ahead of the game because
Yeah.
most people drift through life. They've always drifted through life. They always have. And I think the majority of people will always just drift through life,
Hmm.
bouncing from wall to wall and being fine and being happy with that. And that's okay. I think they'll be bouncing a lot more. But the difference, I think, is just that reflection, is just that will to not rely on the tool, even
Hmm.
for one thing. It's that desire to try and express yourself coherently using the words of your soul painted onto the very corpus of your being and try
Yeah.
to express yourself elegantly, eloquently, comprehensively.
Mm. And it is a muscle you can train.
Yeah.
It's not like some people have it, some people don't have it. English is my third language. When
Mm,
I moved to the UK, my English was very rudimentally, very basic.
mm.
It's not impossible to master your own language, let alone a second or third language, to a level where you sound smarter than the average.
Yeah.
It's a matter of reading and then putting that reading into practice by even just journaling, even just writing out your own shopping lists. That registers differently in your brain than typing it into your phone notes app.
Yeah. I mean, actually using a pen
Mm-hmm.
on a piece of paper and
Yeah.
taking notes in a real live book, I think the difference between, I mean, I do a lot of meetings. Same as you, I'm sure. I have
Mm-hmm.
a lot of meetings and I can touch type. It's one of the greatest skills I ever picked up at university. My mum was
Yeah.
a legal secretary in her first job and she taught me and then I learned. So I can touch type. I can look at something and I can type really damn fast without,
Yeah.
so in meetings, I'm in my tool and I'm going blah, 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 taking away the notes. And I prefer that to the AI summaries actually, because then I get to pull out what's important.
Mm.
But I don't remember a damn thing I type.
Interesting.
You know what
Yeah.
I think?
Yeah.
If I take a note,
Mm.
if I take a note, this is like inscribing it in the sharpened pen on the back of my neck.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
It activates different neural pathways when you are
Yeah.
writing things out. So, and also one is because it's slower because you're having to think about what you're writing down in that moment. So it just registers differently. Yeah. And this is, proven by people much smarter than I. So it works wonderfully.
I think there's a thing about I mentioned leadership here, and that's kind of what I try to talk about a lot. Because I think it's the difference between success and failure in most organizations and most bodies, most groups of people. We talked about parliament before. Leadership, I think, is everything. And everybody wants to be led, but nobody ever wants to lead. It's very easy to lead. All you have to do is say, "We're going over here." Okay, is the response. That's it. We're going to do this. All right. And I don't know about you, but very few people invite me to anything. Okay. Now that could just be me being an absolute unpleasant person. I'm sure that's entirely possible. But the minute you reach out and you say, "Let's do this." All right, then let's go. Okay. Nobody leads, nobody organizes, nobody does. Most people just drift and they wait. They wait and then
True.
they die. Okay. So being a leader of anything, I think, is the minute you realize that you're not actually leading for yourself, you're leading for other people. You are in service. You're in service, servant leadership. You're in service of the other. And most people at some point realize that this is, it's almost epiphanical. You realize there's a moment where you realize it's not about you, but it's about other people.
Mm.
Is there anything in you? Is there a moment where you first realized that that was a thing, when it wasn't about you, it was about the people around you?
Mm. I mean, my first sort of thought that comes to mind here is that I know, so that's one of my weaknesses, that I'm not a natural leader. Give me a pen and I will write a 2-page essay about it in under half an hour. But give me a team to lead and I panic.
Mm.
Generally, I am getting better at it now. But I would say, I think for me, I thought leadership meant being one with the vision of the one steering the ship. But I'm more of I run a tight shipwreck rather than a tight ship.
I love it.
So, and when I started Vampire Digital, I was on my own for quite a while, and then the team slowly grew. But then I realized that like nothing really moves unless the people around you feel like they have the oxygen to breathe and the space to grow.
Mm.
And so one of the turning points for me when so my number two, my operations director, is called Luke. I met him on LinkedIn. He was one of my writers to begin with over 3 years ago, and he then became the operations director. And he's brilliant in areas. He's brilliant in turning this shipwreck into a ship. He has skills I'll never have. He's also obsessed with burritos. I'm sure he'll be glad that I mentioned this. But I had no systems when he came on board, and then so Luke has built all that out for me. But beyond all the systems, I noticed, and I started noticing all the little ways that he kept the company together. So that's when leadership, I think, clicked for me. When I saw that for me, my role isn't about like tightening the reins. It's more to do with creating conditions where people like Luke can really shine. So I don't need to be in the spotlight from a leadership perspective. I need to cast the light on the rest of the team, because without them, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. My company wouldn't exist.
So Luke and your burrito obsession, we're
Luke and
grateful
his
for you.
burrito. Yeah.
We're grateful for you. There's it's the idea that you're asked to carry a handful of sand across a beach. So you reach down to the beach and you pick up a handful of sand in one hand, and you pick up a handful of sand in the other hand. In one hand, you squeeze tightly so it doesn't blow away. And thankfully, it's not a very windy day, so you carry the two together. And what's happening with this hand is you squeeze, the tighter you squeeze, the more sand flows out. But you can you can protect it, and you can cover it, or you can shelter this handful of sand from the wind or from the buffeting waves or whatever. And you're more likely to get across the one that you're protecting and nurturing and taking care of rather than the one you're squeezing. So
I love that.
trying to make other people successful. You're trying to lift other people up. It's the concept. There's C.S. Lewis is the great English writer and thinker, and he talks about the four loves, and you have eros, which is the romantic love for your husband, your wife. You have storge, you have philia, which is the love for your brother and your sister, and then you have agape. Agape is the divine adoration of God for you and for your success, and this is the thing that you can then turn to other people. And it's this willingness, selfless will for other people's success. And I think if you have to define the character of someone who wishes to be a leader, it is to someone that wills the success of others. They will the success of others. And the red line of that is sometimes people set themselves on fire to warm other people up.
Yeah.
Now, that's no good, right? You can't burn your house down because you want somebody else to be warm. That's the red line's gone too far.
Yeah.
And you see that in many situations, in many countries, many characters.
Yeah.
But the will of other people's success, I think, is the big first step for most people. If I can make you successful, I'll be successful. If I can
Absolutely.
make all of you successful, we'll all be successful.
Yeah. And I think it's nurturing those human relationships alongside the leadership element, so that, because we quite often we spend more time with our teams than with our families, right? So it's so important to make sure that on the relationship level, your values are aligned so that you can work together in in the most conductive environment. Even if you work, we're a fully remote team. Some of Luke has been with Vampire Digital for over 3 years. We've never met in person. He lives up in Sheffield, and I've never met him in person. We've been trying to organize it, but for one reason or another.
Sheffield's not a scary place. It'd be okay. You should get on the train, So I don't know what it was like where you came from, dear, but trains are really good, You can.
Yes, they can only be much better than the communist era Eastern European trains that's still going about in Hungary and Romania. So
I've been in a couple of really nice Hungarian trains. We got the sleeper train from where were we? Munich, all the way through Vienna to Budapest. That was lovely.
Yeah, they're moving with the times slowly.
Was there a particular challenge or a mistake that dealt some particularly hard lesson that shaped that? You said you noticed the burrito obsession. You noticed how he could make Luke more successful.
Yes, I think more so. It's kind of letting go of perfectionism, and I don't know whether that comes from being a chess player, an ex-gymnast, where you had to execute things with precision and strategy and a lot of forethought. But I think at the beginning, I expected everyone to operate at the same obsessive level as I set for myself, which is not good for my mental health and definitely not good for the team's mental well-being. And people don't follow. It's not like they follow you because you're flawless. You need to be human, and humans are by nature
messy.
They come with faults. So, and I think then ultimately, I think it's motherhood that actually taught me leadership skills that are in a way that a book never could, because with your children, you can't, there's no leading with control, right? But you can lead with presence and being there, and you can be messy and imperfect, but consistent. So that consistent presence, you can then apply those survival strategies to leadership as well. And you can carry that through into business. So yeah, it's not about, I guess, polishing every surface until it shines. That's the analogy I can think of on the spot. It's about, you need to be able to stay present and level-headed when the situation gets messy. When the kids are screaming in the middle of a Tesco, you need to hold it together because they can sense you're panicked. And I guess that's the same in leadership in a way, because they're looking at you for saying, okay, this is the direction we're going. There's a huge iceberg over there. What are we going to do about it?
They're looking for the rock. They're
Mm,
looking for the security. And even if you don't feel it, you can fake it.
yeah.
Because if you fake it, it's kind of true.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the whole thing about, fake it till you make it. Such bad advice. Well, actually, it's just human.
It works.
It's
It
just
does
human.
work.
It's
Yeah.
you're faking it for yourself more than anybody else.
Yeah. And actually your brain does take notice of your
Uh-huh.
thoughts a lot more than people realize. So,
There's no one who listens to you more than you.
mm,
Yeah, certainly not your kids. One word from you, they do what they like.
yeah, my kids don't listen at all.
Sorry, what did you say? Exactly, exactly. Um,
Yeah.
Back to leading on from this to content, to writing, to the technology driving us mad. Um, I'm wondering if the humanity, the imperfections, the chess playing gymnast in you connects to the AI being perfect. The AI is going to be letter perfect. It's going to be grammatically correct. It's going to be, absolutely solid 6.5 out of 10 every time. Um, there's something there. I'm trying to pull a thread out. There's something there about the human being full of typos, being full of spelling mistakes and making mistakes and being rough and ineloquent.
Mm.
And I remember once writing something in high school, and my English teacher, with her BA in English, said, you don't have to be up here all the time. You don't have to be writing at 9 or 10 out of 10 all the time. You need to be giving space. You need the white space, the mental space you can be eloquent. You can have a beautiful turn of phrase and then just explain that the cat sat in the mat.
Yeah.
The cat didn't repose. The feline did not repose upon the tapestry. You don't have to use that. And I think that's something that the tools deceive us with, and that our humanity when we write comes through in the clumsiness, comes through in the turns of phrase that we choose. I don't know if there's something there or not. You're the
Definitely.
author,
I mean, look, AI is flattening and homogenizing language, and when everyone is sounding the same, whether that's because they use AI, whether that's because they use the 5 steps to, I don't know, make your first 10K while you sleep and you don't have to lift a finger templates. If they're all sounding the same, perfectly polished but 50 shades of beige, and you're talking about phrases that people use, that's one of my phrases.
50 Shades of Beige. I love that. I'm going to take my ballpoint pen and write it in my book.
Right in your book,
Go
in
on,
your
50 Shades
analog
of Beige.
50 Shades of Beige, right? So you don't, so then the best way to stand out is to own your faulty human, rough around the edges voice, whether that's your I don't know, local dialect, accent, certain words and phrases you use, whether that's your imperfect English because English isn't your first language. Go all in because that's the way to stand out right now. And your readers will appreciate it. Look, I'm going fully against the grain. I'm writing really long essay-like posts. I'm citing research. I'm being quite poetic with some of the language that I use deliberately. Some of my writing might require a couple of rereads because I want to attract readers who are happy to sit with that complexity. And I'm not saying I write really elaborately, but I want to attract the kind of audience that appreciates the fact that it takes time to write a well-crafted post. So I have shown them respect by crafting that post from scratch, and they are more likely to spend 5-10 minutes to read that post and another 5-10 minutes to write. Some of the comments I get are incredible. Some of
I've seen, yeah.
it's I love, I'm getting some brilliant minds, academics engaging with my content, inviting me to speak at universities, to speak at major events now that are coming up, and it's all thanks to posts that on paper shouldn't be performing well on LinkedIn. Because the general advice on LinkedIn is write as a, I don't know, sixth grade or whatever the American
Yeah.
gurus tell you, dump your content down, write in short bullet points because it's easily consumable. Well, I'm proving the opposite, and we're doing the same with some of our client contents. We're experimenting with some longer form, more complex content that is going viral. So it shows now what this shows to me is that there is an undercurrent, there is an AI resistance going on, and not just in creators who write without AI and write anti-AI content, but also the way people consume content. They are sick of AI generated content and they block those people, unfollow those people, and they're beginning to engage with more educational, deeper, more nuanced content.
Being real is the only advantage we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, we more than ever we are in this attention economy, and so when information becomes what's the word I'm looking for, democratized, information is democratized now because you can very quickly find information with AI. You need to obviously check and validate it because ChatGPT likes hallucinating. But if you can now come up with content with the help of AI, content that everybody else can come up with, you are no longer going to win the attention economy game. So then your personal expertise, your stance, your voice becomes the real currency here, your humanness.
Yeah, your warmth. There's a lot of churches. I'm a member of my local church. A lot of churches deal with the Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous and things like that. And the 12-step program is essentially it's a rediscovering of a higher power, and that you should humble yourself.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they teach is that the opposite of intoxication and addiction is not sobriety, it's connection. The opposite of addiction, the opposite of intoxication is connection.
That makes so much sense.
If we lack connection, we find ourselves intoxicated, not in a good way. We find ourselves addicted to bad things, and bad things happen. And I think these tools, sometimes there is, I think you could say Deus ex machina, the God is in the machine. Okay. We could pull from that great wisdom, but I think I still feel that the tools amplify, like alcohol.
Yeah.
If you're a grumpy person and you get drunk, you're going to be a grumpy drunk.
Yeah.
If you're a cheery person and you get drunk, you're going to be a super cheery drunk. They amplify. If you're a crappy salesperson or a mediocre salesperson, you're going to be mediocre but on steroids.
Yeah, at scale.
Yeah, you're going to amplify whatever it is you're doing, more of it.
Yeah.
By volume, not necessarily by quantity.
And you bypass the connection part with these tools.
Yeah. You don't go anywhere near it. You skip straight over it. You skip straight over it.
Yeah.
What I can see surrounding you, being you're an author, you have your new book coming out very, very soon, which is on its way to me. I just have to make sure I did actually press order. I can't see it right now. You've got a book called Think Bait coming out. You've been working on this for a while. It's a beautiful book. I want you to hold it up to the screen so we can all see it, please, Zsike. There we are. Zsike Peter. The Definitive Guide to Reclaiming Human Creativity in the Age of AI. Think Bait. Why should we read it? What's in it?
So, the way that started is when everybody was creating with AI, and initially I went down that rabbit hole because one, it's better the devil you know, right? How can you criticize something when you don't know it inside out? And two, I thought this would decimate my business. You know, we rely on writing content for our clients. That's our main bread and butter. So I went down the rabbit hole of using it, knowing everything about it. But I've noticed that a lot of the output that it was coming up with was a lot more clickbait. And then every time I logged into LinkedIn, it was just one clickbait content after another. And I started writing a post about this one evening, and it went along the lines of, I'm so sick and tired of clickbait content. I want something that makes me stop and think. And then I want think bait. That's kind of, and it turns out I'm not the first person to use the word think bait, but not in this context. So I do have it trademarked as well now in the UK,
Good.
just in case. Um, and then, you know, the book itself kind of grew on the back of a few deeper posts. And I would say, you know, it's part guide, part manifesto. And I created a framework around it that I have been instinctively using for years anyway, writing for myself, for our clients. And the think framework stands for thoughtfulness, humanity, impact, nuance, and knowledge. And
Well, start. Don't gloss over that. Go back and give me a bit of detail around each one.
yeah,
Thoughtfulness.
so of course, you know, what is that post about? Is it worth your reader's time? Is it thoughtful enough that your reader can spend 5-10 minutes and it's not going to be something that you're wasting their time with, right?
Okay. Okay.
And then humanity is adding that human element. So you have your own opinions, your own stances, your own expertise that you can weave into your content and not sound like ChatGPT. Impact. Now, okay, what is that post going to achieve? And this is where I apply the so what rule. So if you read your post, if your reader reads your post and they say, so what? You know, does that make any difference to their life? Have you just wasted their time? And then, of course, the nuance is the adding layers, adding different perspectives within your post, because if otherwise your contents can sound really one-sided. So you could even add opposing thoughts and flesh that out within the same piece of content, for example. And then knowledge, you know, that is kind of quite straightforward. Is that your content should generally be based on knowledge that you have built up over the years, and you are expressing that expertise through most of your content, because it's all about positioning yourself as an expert, as an industry voice, whatever stance you want to take. It needs to be grounded in knowledge and not just generic stuff that anyone could Google or chat GPT. So that's what the framework stands for. And if you can apply at least 3 out of those 5, I would say then you have a good starting point for a piece of content, for a newsletter piece, for a blog post. You don't have to tick all the 5 boxes, but I would say 3 out of the 5, you want to aim for that. Otherwise, you're just posting for the sake of posting and filler content.
I do that. Do you know what? I do that. I do it for the sake of it sometimes.
Yeah, we
Uh,
all get sucked into that to keep the momentum going.
uh-huh. Yeah.
But I would say one filler post a week with a bit of light-hearted fun is good. More than that, you kind of lose that credibility where you're trying to position yourself into a certain category to carve out your own category to become known for what you want to become known for.
Hmm. You're
But
making me.
I've experimented with that. I've gone, you know, I used to have a really strong kind of vampire posts and all the puns and all the bad dad jokes. And yes, that got me wider reach and that got me some growth, but it was the wrong kind of growth.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And since I've gone all in with the kind of thought leadership type of posts, the analytical, the research type of posts where, you know, I explore what AI is doing to our language and to our creative and critical thinking skills, I'm attracting a whole different audience and a whole different clientele.
The commercial in me is asking you this. You're attracting a whole different audience. Does that audience have money and do they want what you're selling? Which is always the commercial question. You don't have to answer that.
Yeah, but the answer is yes. But also, we also get strategic. My team and I, when I say we, is that we are proactive in building that audience in the first place. We use Sales Navigator to find the right decision makers that we want to attract, and we know we can help them, and we know they have the budget for our
That's it.
services.
That's it. That is it. That's excellent. What would you, as an author, well read, recommend? Book recommendations.
Yeah.
What's good? What's on the side of your bed right now?
So the one I'm reading right now is not a business book, is not a self-help book or a marketing book, is a novel called titled Embers, and it's by a Hungarian writer, Sándor Márai. But I'm reading it in English. It's in its English translation. And it's kind of like a spellbinding exploration or meditation on friendship, on betrayal. I'm kind of three-quarters way through it, and and explores how time affects friendship and the memory of betrayal. But what really makes it extraordinary for me is the language, because the suspense is woven so delicately that you barely notice it until you're caught in it. So, and I feel like founders, leaders, no matter your industry, you kind of need that literary muscle to be able to sit with ambiguity. So you can read between the lines and sense what isn't being said. And I feel like Embers shows you exactly that inadvertently.
Well,
So yeah, sometimes. So what I do for every business book I read, I then read a novel or I read poetry to mix it up a bit because it gets you thinking differently.
I read a lot of fantasy books. I like modern and ancient sci-fi and all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff that takes your head out of the
Ancient
everyday.
sci-fi.
Ancient sci-fi. Well, H.G. Wells, stuff like that.
Okay.
I like the Time Machine or
Yeah. All the nerdy stuff that is good for you.
Jules Verne, that sort of stuff. Really,
Oh, I love it.
that's good
Yes.
fun. Yeah, I love that, especially. I mean, my background, my degree is in languages,
Mm.
so I love reading in translation as well. And when you get something that is, as you say, it's so nuanced, it's so delicately put, and you're wondering how exactly did you take this from one language to the other? Not just the art
Yeah.
of the author themselves, but of the translator who has such mastery of two languages that
It's
they're able to
incredible.
take one. It's just
Yeah, and quite often these
it's
translators
heroic.
win awards within their own right, because they do such an. I mean, I thought many years ago that I would like to become a literary translator
Mm.
and a legal interpreter.
Money's
But
rubbish. Money's
yeah,
absolute rubbish.
and then yeah, but what was interesting. I passed all the modules where I had to translate from um, Hungarian to English, which
Mm.
should
It should have
be
been the
the
other way
difficult
around.
part for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it should be the difficult part for me as a
Mhm.
non-native English speaker. But then I failed the English to Hungarian
Ah,
part because I've been here for so long, and
yeah.
I dream and write and think in English, so that the local language interference, they called it. My dominant language is now English, so
So, so do
that's
you
it.
do you find that um, when you speak to people in Hungarian, they look at you in a strange way, and you're thinking, what? You've come with, you're speaking fluent, perfect Hungarian, of course, but there's just this flavor of the Anglo flavors coming through. I always love that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
quite
It's
fun.
there. I've just been back to Hungary and I had to speak to the a guy at the hire car company at the airport, and he was giving me some funny looks, but we understood each other. I try to nurture that. I do order Hungarian books from Hungary, and I reread some classics like Madame Bovary. I recently reread in Hungarian,
It's
just to.
Hungarian originally? I didn't know that.
No,
Okay.
it's not. It's not. It's
No?
not. But I reread the
French, no?
Hungarian. It's French,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, I thought, okay.
Robert. But I try to read some of the chewier classics in
Yeah,
Hungarian to just to get my exercise my brain a bit differently.
there you go. I love it.
But it's different. That's passive language, not active language usage. So.
There we are. What are you working on? What's next?
So I mean, the next big milestone is Think Beige being launched on Amazon and all the major bookstores online. And it's out now on Amazon, which is the paperback version. And then I have a few big sort of speaking things coming up. I have a keynote spot at the Long Haul Leader early November, which is organized. It's a very, they limit it to 100 founders, entrepreneurs. They come from all over the world, and it's organized by Chris Ducker, who is a wonderful entrepreneur himself. He's a well-known person, and he is also my mentor. But he's like, "Are you ready to do a speaking spot all by yourself?" And I thought, I'll get some practice in. So I've been to Berlin. I did a panel talk in Leeds, and I've done some smaller workshops now. And I have these exciting things coming up now. Some university panel talks amongst some tech experts and professors, which I think, oh my God, what am I doing there? But it seems like they want to, I think what it is, they want to have real world practitioners amongst all the academics to kind of get my angle as well. So that's a good sign. I feel like that's a good sign if the academia, they want to present somebody from the marketing, from the content creators perspective, and how we work with AI, what my red flags are around AI, to present about that in front of their professors and students, which is great. So that's coming up in Leeds in November as well.
Good.
And I'm building another business, but that's probably, we might be running out of time for that.
You tell us all about that in episode 2.
Yes.
Yeah. Thinkbait.co.uk. You can find on the website, all the relevant links will be in the description of this episode, as will Embers and the name of the writer, which I'm sure you're going to send me, because otherwise I'm not going to try and write something out in Hungarian, because I know my limitations. 50 Shades of Beige, what a magnificent phrase. If you had one opportunity to share one message with most of humanity, what would it be? 1,000 billboards, one in every airport, as big as you like. What were you going to tell them?
Yeah.
One message, all of humanity.
Is don't forget what makes you human. Don't you lose your humanity in this fast world. That would be my message. Use your brain.
Use your brain. Zsike
Yes.
Peter, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Thank you so much, Paul. Absolute pleasure.